What's the best way to follow up on a critically acclaimed and universally loved show like Mystery Incorporated was? Oh. Be Cool Scooby-Doo ran for 52 episodes from 2015 to 2018, and is mostly remembered as the one that looks like Family Guy. And while I see what you're going for, I don't think y'all watch enough bad adult animation. This is Brickleberry. This is F is for Family. This is some random show on Fox that gets just one season. This is... you know what? Let's just get into it. This first episode immediately starts with a callback to Elias Kingston from Scooby-Doo Where Are You? So I kinda hope that this whole series is just full of those little fan service moments. Oh wait, he's actually back. This intro song is actually pretty good. A little bit of rock and a little funky, and much better than the Get a Clue one. But yeah, if it basically took the entire first season for me to get used to that art style, this one's probably gonna take even longer. Velma's worried about her interview over at the university, so she tells the gang not to embarrass her. And I kinda hope that doesn't set the precedent for the entire show, because I actually prefer my Velmas to be likable. But hey, at least Matthew Lillard's back as Shaggy. That's all I could really ask for. Daphne very carefully parks the mystery machine at the fuel station, obviously because she knew that the attendant would lord dump on everything they need to know about the case. When Velma meets the dean of the school, he cuts her a deal. If she can solve the case of Elias Kingston's ghost, she will be accepted into the school. Otherwise, forget it. Somehow, not even the top 10 most illegal things done for college admissions. And this blueprint schematic of the university is so well animated, I love it. Daphne's got a weird thing for puppets this whole episode, and she's no longer the fun, stylish girl boss Daphne that we've come to love, and more so the epic random equals funny Daphne. The gang gets into the dean's office for a little snooping, and of course, Shaggy and Scooby find the vending machines, quickly getting stuck in one while trying to get their food, with Kingston joining in on the fun. And this is actually a pretty fun gag. Velma does a Sherlock type thing to find the book they need before Shaggy and Scoob bring the big blue clue over for another chase, leading to Daphne and Fred using this ladder to do a board slide. And I can't lie, they were kinda steezy with it. Fred thinks he has a plan, but as he slips off the roof, Shaggy and Scoob come to the rescue. Kingston unties the rope and scares the girls out the window, so Daphne's forced to drop her puppet in the most dramatic way, and the cut to it falling on the bush got a genuine laugh out of me. Eventually they tap the ghost, who is unveiled as Mitchell from the fuel station, and also the son of the security guard. And you know what, I'll put my hands up, they got me. Maybe I wasn't locked in enough to start this, but I didn't suspect either of them. I was going with the Dean 100%. For a series premiere, this was genuinely a really good and fun episode, albeit with some flaws to our main characters, but I'm very excited to see where we go from here. Ew, vlogger jump scare. Okay, it actually turns into a found footage horror, which is probably my favorite subgenre, so I'll give them a pass. We pick up with the gang solving yet another mystery, this time with Captain Cutler and some boring plan. And everyone yawning in this made me yawn too. When Fred gets a video from his buddy Chuck, they all head out to try and see what's up, even the cops. So Cutler just sneaks back into the water. Great work boys, keep it up. Surely that won't have lasting ramifications on the story. Seems like that incompetence trickles down to all walks of enforcement, as this park ranger lets them walk right into a deadly cave. At the giant shrine, one of the figures jumps down and chases the gang to the cliff's edge, where they're forced to choose between death by Chicken Man or death by gravity. So they decide to take the Assassin's Creed leap of faith down, landing peacefully in the water below. That Satari warrior tries to use the gang's bridge to cross with them, but couldn't handle a little bit of shaking. Eventually the gang finds Chuck's graffiti, and our buddy Rick here tells them that Chuck went that way, right through this obstacle course from hell. Fred takes one for the team and, dies. They walk into the entrance here and immediately run into the warrior again, falling down these labyrinthian chutes that look like a lot of fun to go down. You know, except for the deranged chicken warrior using you as a mole in the whack-a-mole thing. With their backs against the wall, Fred finally figures it out, opening the door behind the warrior, shoving them under the trap. The Zatari warrior was none other than Chuck himself, pulling the old fake found footage trick, and the weird park ranger guy just takes him away. Not as good as the first episode, but not completely bad either. Some scuba divers are putzing around in this underwater landfill, where they're told to not take anything. Hey, what did I say? The gang are boarding a cruise ship captained by Fred's cousin, and no matter the art style, Daphne is going to be serving in every single outfit. Velma overhears the captain and the first mate talking about the sea monster attack, and runs to stop Daphne and Fred from going out into the water. A bit late perhaps, as the monster chases them back onto the ship before they even get one piece of the gold. Okay, greedy. Velma's description of the myth continues our trend of well-animated lore dumps. But we've got no time to marvel. We've got to throw our possessions overboard like everyone else. The captain becomes increasingly, piratified every time that we look at him, but no time to worry about that, as two of the divers check out the bottom of the ship and get attacked by the monster. At least Fred came prepared, as the mystery machine turns into a submarine, allowing them to find some clues down in the blue and a pretty funny claw machine bit. We get a pretty fun and classic feeling chase scene, with an oxygen tank escape to regroup. They trap the monster trying to get into the mystery machine, but you know what's more fun than one sea monster? Two sea monsters. They chase the gang minus Velma back to the ship, where Velma and her crane game skills come into play, grabbing both prizes in one go. The monsters are unmasked as the two missing divers, like that was any real shock, who were illegally scavenging the treasure below. And just like that, we're back to better episodes here. A lot of the settings were fun and the creatures look great too, but probably just below the first one overall. We start episode 4 with everyone's favorite canine detective, Scooby-Doo. Who's this? We're on set for the next episode of yet another spinoff of Law & Order, where a gargoyle swoops down from the rooftops and attacks some of the underpaid PAs. Meanwhile, the gang leave what I can only assume is a Costco for cop supplies, so I can't think of a more cursed place to be, honestly. A good second place would probably be on a network television set, so we're really ticking all the boxes here. Scooby also gets to meet his little crush. Okay, not really. He's a little too shy to say hello. When he does work up the courage, he stutters and stumbles his way to kinda creeping her out. Hey, can we get him some help over here? Ah, perfect. With all the crew gone, the gang have to step in and help out. They start by splitting up to find some more clues. And hey Shaggy, right behind you. Oh, hey Shaggy, right in front of you. Eventually, the gargoyle finds himself on the set of the hit show, and Gargoyle makes 3. But if 3's a crowd, then 4 is well, that's just too many people. Get out of my house. A chase through the halls and back to the set ensues, where the gargoyle goes to join their buddies for a bit, giving the gang enough time to do some forensic work and set up the grand finale. Right on cue, Gargy shows up to take the bait, but Scooby and Lady Annabelle here get caught up in the crossfire, leaving Scooby no choice but to save his girl. Or not his girl. He still hasn't really introduced himself yet. But nothing makes a better impression than shared trauma. The gargoyle gets covered in cement and is chiseled out to reveal Carly, the assistant director. She just wanted her chance to shine, and I guess she did get her, 22 minutes of fame. It seems like just about every other Scooby series has a baseball episode, but at least this one's on promotional free poncho night. Oh, that's not... Just as the pitcher winds up for the delivery, the ghostly slugger interrupts him, and I think technically that's a balk. Alright, runners move up 90 feet. Everyone runs in terror, so I guess that's forfeit due to, phantasm interference. Superfan Shaggy gets to meet the owner of the Moths, who tells them that the ghost is the Moth's best ever player, statistics-wise, Chip Braverton. And when Velma hears statistics, she basically turns into Foolish Baseball talking about them, except she only cites the normie stats like ERA and batting average. Just wait till she finds out about ex-WOBA and FIP, she might have an aneurysm. The owner interrupts her a moment by saying that he has to sell the team, and, I mean, buzzkill. Read the room, dude. Oh, he actually did. There's no one in the stadium. Okay, fair play. The gang only gets one night to solve this mystery, so let's get to it. And their introduction to the ghost is actually kinda creepy. I love it. Chip chases them onto the field, with our color commentators up in the booth, giving them directions to avoid this designated hitter. He gets tossed from the game, giving the gang time to tour the Moth's Hall of Fame. And Chip Braverton apparently played in the 1910s, so pretty much against plumbers. He'd never hold up in today's game. The gang gathers some more intel, with Shaggy still captaining the team, but with Chip's ghost stepping back up to the plate, it's time for another chase. And this has, no hyperbole, a top 5 chase theme in the entire franchise. Shaggy and Scooby are all-star level bait, and show why they get paid the big bucks. As the ghost whiffs and crashes into the backstop, later being unmasked as Dustin Walsreath, upset that no one remembers him as a player. As their reward, Shaggy gets to throw out the first pitch, with his best buddy behind the plate. This episode kinda rocks. It's very classic, and that one scene was unsettlingly scary, and that chase song slaps beyond belief. Top of the list so far. 2 security guards are on duty guarding this museum, and this one certainly doesn't seem to be following protocol, and pays the price as this Egyptian deity comes to life. Fred is super steezed to learn about the history of mysteries, and based on the demographic here, maybe a little too steezed. Fred and the tour guide kind of have some beef cooking up here, and they decide to switch teams for the day. No, not like that. This Jeff guy will lead the gang, while Fred will pass on his vast knowledge to the little ones. The gang encounter a bickering scientist and mythologist, which is a battle as old as time. See, even Velma's hieroglyphics agree to disagree. Fred's gang is a little bit more boring, but all Fred can worry about is his old gang, so he goes to check in on them. And things honestly couldn't be going better for them, so I think Fred's getting a bit worried that he's not as great as his ego leads on. Hey Velma, I wouldn't go back there. Last guy who did got attacked by the... yeah. Both gangs get chased by Sobek through various exhibits, but in order to catch this deity, Fred and Jeff have to team up to use their strengths together. And it actually works, as everyone works together to wrap this case up. Under the croc mask is Professor Salazar, And why don't we let Jeff take this one, because we'll probably never see him again anyways. Oh, he's a little off his rocker. Okay, Velma, please end this one. Basically, Salazar was in the process of stealing the gold statue when the mystery gang came around. Jeff runs off with the mini mystery gang, and should we maybe stop him? He's kind of unhinged. No? Okay. There's something down in the Crystal Caverns, and there's something sinister to it. Our 5 chums head over to check it out, and we get a lot of silly crystal gags. Velma gets to see her old professor, who's had to stop her research due to the cave creature. The gang offer their services and head down, continuing to bicker along the way for some reason. While down in the crystal castles, they have to be absolutely quiet so as not to break them all. So we're left with hand motions and facial direction. Before we waste any more time, the crystal crawler drops down and chases the gang around, very quietly. And I think the quiet's messing with Fred. He's losing it. Velma, on the other hand, is entranced by the beauty of the crystals, and, did she perhaps eat one of the wild mushrooms on the way over? While she tries not to morph into a crystal, the gang keep finding more and more clues, including this terrifying shadowy— oh, that's just Velma. Yep, she's lost it. Our chase song this time is the most average pop-punk song ever, so pretty good. Back in the soundproofed elevator, the gang can finally share their findings with each other. No time for lunch though, it's trap time. This one succeeds through failing, as the bait gets trapped but still catches the creature, who's brought to the surface and unmasked as Coulson McCready, because he's gone broke from this whole crystal tour thing, and we can finally shut the door on this case for good. We're at Withering Manor, presumably somewhere in Wuthering Heights, where some rich people are setting up for their murder mystery party, and man, they have some pretty good effects. Look at how this maid gets snatched up. The gang arrive to the party as a way to practice some crime solving without actually being in danger, and also because Daphne's a product of old money. That typically helps too. Lady Wuthering introduces herself to the guests and commences her annual murder mystery party. So everyone get in costume. And Velma puts on an accent that sounds exactly like Mrs. Lovett from Sweeney Todd, which is definitely a good thing. A not so good thing though is the headless butler getting attacked by the actual headless count. And as Fred is the only one nearby, goes to solve this fake mystery. The butler disappears with a final message of— He's real! Huh, wonder what that could mean. Daphne and Bradwick team up while Shag and Scoob go into the secret passage, unaware of the real danger, and the boys laugh in their face. Oh, sorry, too soon? But when everyone's about to catch the headless count in action, they take off to the jester's room, grabbing a sword off the wall to try and slice a queen and a constable. And there's a good chance that that's an actual British dish name. They lead the count out to the rest of the party, and everyone starts running around like a chicken with its— oh, sorry. One by one, more people get attacked and kidnapped, so I think it's time to solve this mystery. Oh hey Bradwick, you just missed them. Daphne and Fred get kidnapped and taken to the basement, where everyone else is being kept, so good thing Shag and Scoob have this one just about solved. Oh hey, thanks Velma. Of course, this headless count is Bradwick Haverall. Never trust a rich man, but especially never trust a broke man pretending to be rich. A local band's doing a sound check for a performance later that day, and like any great band, they absolutely hate each other. Does that mean we get a classic like Fleetwood Mac's Rumors? No. Oh, hey Stevie. Fred drives like the average person in LA to try and get to the ticket sale on time, but of course, everything on Ticketmaster is botted anyways. When they find out the show might get cancelled, Fred offers to open up for Bones Malone, of course with his band, Mystery Machine. While Fred and the girls are worried about looking like posers, Shaggy and Scooby get right to shredding, and the rest comes naturally. The only one left without an instrument is Velma, so I guess we know who our lead singer is. Come on V, we've seen you perform before, you're pretty good. That same tech guy gets annoyed again, and sure would be a weird coincidence if the— oh hey queen. The Phantom chases the gang right into Velma's history lesson of the place. It's time for another sound check, and Bones allows the gang to sit up front for an impromptu performance. And in one of a very few times in the series, we get a diegetic chase song. And it's pretty good too. While Bones does his thing, the Wraith chases the gang around the theater, even picking up Shaggy and Scooby. Right before they go on stage, the gang find a new contract Bones has with another manager, but no time for that. Mystery Machine, you're on in— well, now. With a sold-out show, the Wraith tries to steal the show, chasing Velma off stage when Shaggy and Scooby are a little offbeat. But of course, Fred manages to drum up some justice, capturing the ghost and unmasking her as— a drag queen. Okay, once she gets untucked, Jasper Krall is revealed to be behind it all, as Velma explains through song. The music, the theatrics, the makeup, this is why drag is awesome. At a local restaurant with the American Horror Story font, a waiter who's running a little bit late encounters a Yeti in the bathroom, which probably still isn't enough to not have an A food safety rating. When Shag and Scoob bring the rest of the gang in, the owner Chaz Larkin tells them all of his waiters quit because of the Yeti. And it wouldn't be my first choice to put Shaggy and Scooby in charge of handling food that wasn't theirs to eat, but we'll see how this one plays out. That actually sounds like a pretty good setup for a stand-up comedy routine, which is Daphne's special interest of the episode.
Like, you ever notice when you solve a mystery and stop a ghost, the cops always say, "Great work, kids." Why does no one say, "Yeah, and horrible job, officers"?
Okay, actually, she's kind of onto something here. But as Shaggy and Scooby are on their lunch break, the Yeti interrupts them and chases the gang into the alley. And good thing they got caught up here, because it's a long way down. Oh. Back inside the restaurant, they find that the freezer isn't doing any freezing, which is really cutting it close on that food safety grade. Also, just thinking about it, this would have been way cooler if the cheese monster from a pup named Scooby-Doo made the return. You know, considering that this whole restaurant is just cheese, but hey, what do I know? I do know that Shaggy's hunger hallucinating, as all these cheese dishes start talking to him. Hey, you know what? 5-second rule, just don't tell the boss, alright? Just be cool, Scooby-Doo. Alright, too cool. The Yeti's back and chases them through the restaurant and out into the parking lot. To buy some time for dinner service, Daphne gets her first comedy gig, and it actually goes pretty well. So here comes the main course. And yeah, I'll have what they're having. The Yeti tries to interrupt everyone's moment, but slips on the ice and gets caught in a sticky situation. It's cheese, not, you know what, just unmask Mr. Howard, the guy who lives right above the restaurant. Finally, Shaggy and Scooby get a much-deserved meal. Plus, for a full day of hard work, they made about $3. Alright. The most normal day at Waffle House, by the way. Huh. Scooby-Doo tried to warn us about the dangers of AI. Neat. Before the gang can experience that though, they're awestruck in the kinds of things that it should be able to do, like make a sandwich for you. Fred gets a little bit of a bionic upgrade, while this little robot guy shows Shaggy and Scooby around VR World. Also, this robot's kind of creepy about Mallory. Like, actually, very creepy. I hate him. But enough of him. Butler 3000 wakes back up and is already on one, throwing around the engineer and scaring the rest out with his Bluetooth takeover of the other devices. Daphne uses some not artificial intelligence to get the gang out of here, and they head back to Mr. Man's office to find the kill switch. But when Man hits the button, Butler 3000 hits the backup generator and is now in charge of the whole place. They do get a little help from Techie, who plays around with the VR settings a bit, sending us on a fun little chase through past adventures. The gang comes together once more to figure out how to stop this technological revolution, and Fred becomes some sort of high-tech Ash Williams to save Daphne from the drones, while Velma uploads a virus to try and neutralize the threat. With a little help from Daphne and Fred's super left hand, we finally we see Mallory is behind it the whole time, afraid that her job would be replaced with AI. How topical. Somewhere out in the desert, we have a horror so horrible that mankind hasn't been the same since. Millennials. The only thing that can save us from the cringe is an alien crash landing from outer space. And maybe a bunch of meddling kids too. Good thing Shaggy and Scooby are safe and sound inside the mystery machine. The alien's right behind them, huh? If there's one thing the military doesn't mess around with, it's alien life forms. They abduct the gang and take them to Area 53? There's also a hitchhiker on board too, but that's probably fine. They think that the gang are the actual aliens, and you know what, with the mystery machine in action, I don't actually blame them. But these interrogations are really getting us nowhere. Can we get some action here? Thank you. The gang uncover an alien spaceship and a couple more clues, but before they can do anything with them, the alien finds its way in. Daphne activates the remote for the ship, crashing through a wall, leaving Fred no choice but to save her, transforming the mystery machine into a flying machine. Just before crashing, they fly through and catch Daphne and the boys, but are in turn caught by the US military. Not a great look for their whole "we aren't the aliens" argument. As they're being transferred to the maximum security detainment area, the alien drops in to say its goodbyes, but should be saying goodbye to their rank, as it's really just the general underneath. And all he wanted was some more funding. Look, the US already spends a stupid amount on defense. Let's just move a little bit from the bombing innocent people fund to the cool alien research fund. I love when these episodes go fully into the sci-fi route. The spaceship scene was super cool. It's a dark and stormy night up at Lutz Manor, as this dapper looking dude arrives at the front door. He's the only one for now, so he's gonna get the party started with some rearranging. There's a couple good fake jump scares here, but third time's the charm, as the being is unveiled. The gang are headed up to the same spot, because Scooby was named in Colonel Lutz's will after he saved him before. They arrive to meet some of the family, including some really creepy twins, an eccentric cousin, and a suspicious butler. Each person must stay the night here to receive their portion of the will, and with the phantom on the loose, looks like we're in for a fun slumber party. As the gang investigates the electricity going out, Shaggy and Scooby find the Spectre and pull a Billy Mays gambit to escape. But not for too long though, as they rip through the painting on the wall to scare the rest of the gang. One of the twins is missing, and the other can't function without her
bath salts.
That's not what I was thinking, but sure. They follow the trail into the basement, where all the cured meat is kept. And the cat boy. Oh, but some of this meat looks rotten. It's all green and kind of fluorescent. Oh, and it's spreading too. But just as Shaggy and Scooby go to lie their little heads down, the Phantom hits the lever to spin the wall around, and chases the boys back through the halls. Man, it really seems like this ghost is in two places at once, cause now they're chasing Fred and the girls around. As everyone crashes through the wall, Scooby saves his best buddy, and the pair of Phantoms get trapped under the painting of Colonel Lutz. And of course, both are unmasked as the twin girls, Ruby and Trudy, who wanted all the money for themselves. But there is no money, just the mansion, which is worth $25 million. So that's nice at least. Oh. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a pterodactyl. The gang are celebrating the holidays in Rockwellville, but I can't help but get the feeling that somebody's watching me. Oh, hey Santa. Daphne's not really in the holiday spirit, but she is in the birthday spirit. Though it might be a little bit of a buzzkill when the pterodactyl ruins the vibe. Fred's pretty adamant on turning this into a Christmas mystery, but I don't remember any holiday pterodactyls in any of the songs. Maybe that was the 13th day of gifts. The gang follow a trail of bows around town to the greatest gift that anyone could ask for. A new convertible! Daphne and Scooby get snatched up by the creature, leaving our other three to get the rescue mission going, which is a successful one with some extreme urban skiing too. After talking to Leventhal for a minute, they head on over to the town center to watch the star go atop the tree. And you know, the Grinch got a bad rap all things considered. I mean, this dinosaur stole a whole tree with gifts for orphan kids. If those Cartoon Network flash games were still around, the gang collecting these falling presents while flying would absolutely be one. Old St. Fred and his helpers saved Christmas for Rockwellville, and David's shown in the suit. He apparently found a pterodactyl egg, wrapped it up, lost track of it, and decided to steal every gift in town. And the artist creating the tree topper was in on it? How preposterous. Fred also turns into Frank from It's Always Sunny, offering the orphan an egg in this trying time, which also helps save the orphanage. Everyone gathers around to sing Daphne happy birthday, so happy birthday to all, and to all, a good night. Alcatraz, Azkaban, and the Vault. 3 of the greatest fictional prisons of all time. 2 inmates clean up the warden's office while talking about some old escaped buddy of theirs. Did they make it? Did they not? Who's to say? Well, let's get a word from the man of the hour. Well said. Just before the vault gets retired and torn down, the warden invites Fred and the gang to get a tour of the place. Which certainly doesn't quite live up to the hype, but maybe this ghostly and soggy inmate can change that. The guard makes the gang T-pose to check them before entry, but before any more invasive processions, the warden takes them inside for a look around, and accidentally lets them know that it's haunted by the ghost of Steel and Stan. Using a handy black light introduced for plot purposes, they find a wall full of hidden messages, which I don't want to know what he used to write them with. Shaggy stumbles into Stan's escape tunnel, which leads right to the warden's office, straight to Steel and Stan, and straight into our big chase scene. Plus Fred's epiphany due to Daphne eating his tuna sandwich. Don't worry, it's a long story. It's trap time. They go with a pretty safe strat to start, but it takes a real barb to take out this ghost, who's quickly deflating and unmasked as the real Steel and Stan. And how many times in this franchise has the ghost of someone been unmasked as the actual person? Can't be many. But Steel and Stan was innocent the whole time. He was at a water park. So the real criminal was the warden the whole time, and I really dig this fake out switch. In an episode titled Gremlin on a Plane, I better be seeing a gremlin on a plane. Hell yeah. Daphne and the gang are boarding the world's largest airplane, which is already having some arguments on if it'll hold up in the air. But it couldn't be worse than the average Boeing jet. The pilot for this trip has a fear of heights, which is just really funny to picture in real life. There's like an entire mini mall on this plane, most importantly with a food court. And based on how expensive airport and airplane food is, I think they just ate my rent's worth of froyo. But when the lights go out, the gremlin returns to sabotage the wiener machine. Be careful looking that one up. And you know when these boys are running away from food, something ain't right. The pilot finally breaks under the pressure, so who's the emergency pilot? Oh, Fred? Alright, how about anyone else? Anyone? Please? Whew, thanks Daph. The gremlin damages the fuel lines as well, so this bird's not staying up for much longer. The first trap's not gonna work, plus we still need the obligatory chase music. But no time to unmask them. They've gotta get off the plane before it crashes. Fred unveils his newest mystery machine mod, plane mode, even though we've seen this in like 3 episodes already. But in what might be my favorite moment in this series, he puts his pride aside and hands the controls over to Daphne, who flies them out while Velma unmasks Ed Johnson, upset that his plane design was changed for the better. This was a pretty good episode, and not really because of the gremlin. The survival aspects and the sweet moments were pretty amazing, honestly. And I think this one would thrive even more as one of those direct-to-video movies. Definitely towards the top. Oh no, the puppets are back? This advertiser isn't really sold on the whole puppet thing, but maybe when the wizard becomes real, he'll change his tone real quick. And I guess those bad commercials worked on the boys, since they love these snacks. Hey, that brings up a good point. Where's the Scooby snacks? But when that guy comes back to tell them that they've been discontinued, that momentary bliss is also discontinued. Shaggy and Scooby find the wizard, who chases them around the storage room, turning their escape stairs into a chute right back down. With magic. Good thing all these spiderwebs are here, as they get flung right back up the used-to-be stairs. Huh, how do you do that? This is easily a level 6 wizard, and the gang are nowhere near ready for this battle. So they use some flower clone jutsu and run out. If I say this series has the best music in the whole franchise, suddenly I'm in big trouble. The wizard gets a bit tied up, giving the gang enough time to make their final plan, which starts with Daphne bribing Shaggy and Scooby to be the bait. Just as they get the factory up and running again, the wizard reappears and everyone fights over the staff, leading to the wizard falling inside the snack batter, becoming an actual sorcerer snack, as Piero the puppeteer is unveiled. You know, that's great and all, but seriously, where are the Scooby- Oh my god, complain enough and ye shall receive. We're out in the bayou with hot peppers in this one, so it's basically Zombie Island. Just instead of zombies, it's giant swamp monsters. Of course, that's not the main draw here, cause damn, this food looks good. As Shag and Scoop have their own unsanctioned episode of Hot Ones, they run out into the bayou, which Bayou Pierre warns the rest of the gang about. But what's the worst that could happen? Sure, I guess a swamp monster. But what about getting your shoes all muddy? That's a real tragedy. The creature from the Black Bayou chases them all around the swamp, but definitely moves to the beat of their own drum. So Shag and Scoop make a clean-ish getaway. Detective Chomps here delivers a clue for the gang, a ring that belongs to Dwayne. But before we can question any of that, our swampy friend is back. And we get a nice little chase through one of my favorite cities in the country. So this rocks. And of course the accompanying song does too. The Swamp Thing gets all of the Mardi Gras beads, which I must have missed the part you gotta do to get those, but that's fine, I guess. Bayou Pierre puts his for sale sign up, so there's that. Unless Vampire Daphne can rally her troops for one final attempt to catch this monster. And so they do, as Scooby reels in a big one, leading the monster to the rest of the gang, who douses them in hot sauce. And is pinned down by Detective Chomps. He looks very polite. I want to give him a hug. The man under the mask isn't nearly as polite, even though the moniker Gentleman Bandit might indicate as much, as Dwayne was trying to scare everyone out to get the armored vehicle he stole out of the swamp. A nice young couple are having a snowman building contest, gathering the materials they need to try and win. Yeah, that's okay, but look at this one. If anyone's seen the horror movie Jack Frost from 1997, this is basically that. As Shag and Scoop start off with a peaceful sledding adventure, they soon make a wrong turn into the monster, flying off the cliff to avoid the icy fiend. While they clear the yellow snow from their jaws, Velma learns how to ski, using the classic pizza and french fry method. But if you french fry when you should have pizza'd, you're gonna have a bad time. Doubly so with a monster hot on their trail. Princess Scooby and Jester Shaggy lead the foe into the forest, but these aren't the woodland critters, so he's still alive. But at least the gang are too. They enter a weather research center with a crazed doctor who's been here for a long, long time. About a week and a half. Since he was alone for so long, he built a snowman as a friend, though it quickly went rogue. Somehow, Fred becomes the bait this time, shredding some gnar to gather up his posse, so they can ditch this poser bogarting the powder. Sorry, that's just some snowboarder slang. They gotta catch the monster. Daphne throws an absolute bullet of a snowball at Fred, collecting the trailing monster and the hungry heroes. And we finally unmask snowboard champion Heidi-Ho Swift, the less popular sister. This episode definitely felt like giant filler, even though there's not even any overarching storylines in this one. Almost nothing happened. Some loser's picking on a kid racing his RC car out in the woods. Hey man, why don't you pick on someone your own size? Oh. Daphne somehow finds out that her family just owns a random Irish castle, and it doesn't look like much, but I bet it's still more than I could afford. They meet the caretaker Angus, and head inside to learn about the legend of McFinn the Giant from a local historian. Boring. Shag and Scoop head down to the kitchen to see the chef do an Irish jig. Yeah, get it, I guess. They're served the average Irish meal, and immediately run away. Now, Scooby-Doo series over time haven't always aged the best, but having Shaggy and Scooby, literal walking garbage disposals, run away from Irish delicacies is insane. Shaggy ate 2 sets of keys in this series, but he won't eat a pigfoot and a green thing? They catch up with Fred and the girls out in the forest looking for Bigfoot. Oh, found it. Our knight in shining armor also happens to have an ascot, but is still blown away at the size of the giant. The other 4 soon join him in the lock, but I guess giants don't have pathfinding in the water. The more you know, I guess. Daphne and Fred stumble across the biggest treasure stash the world has ever seen. I wonder who owns it. Oh, maybe this guy would know. Geez, and I thought the Irish were supposed to be hospitable. Velma puts this groovy box on wheels into high gear, And then, like a Fast and Furious movie, finds another 6 gears and also goes into space. Just before they crash into the ground, the giant actually saves them. How nice. She repays him by immediately burning a hole through his hand. In like 2 seconds, he did more damage than a few hundred years of wars ever did. To the castle, that is. Everyone's spirits are a bit low right now, but Daphne's the one that picked them up and take down this giant the old-fashioned way. And what's cooler than a trebuchet, really? Okay, Mystery Machine mech suit's a pretty good choice. But like most of the kaiju battle movies, most of the time is spent with the less fun parts. And we gotta wrap this one up. The giant falls into the water, short-circuiting, and the mystery mech decapitates the giant to reveal Colin McQuaid, the historian guy, underneath. Please guys, just eat one bite. You know what? Good enough. These crows start messing with the local Scarecrow, but I don't know if you knew this, the job of a Scarecrow is to scare Crow. Crazy, I know. The catalyst to get the gang where the plot needs them to be is that Shaggy and Scooby are hungry. What a shock. But Fred spots his love at first sight, so maybe fate always has a way. Of course, he's not always the smoothest with words, so he ends up with egg on his face. They bring the Scarecrow back to the farm for the gang to see, and end up getting lost in the cornfields. I know that when you're lost, there's no place like home, but even this getaway is hastily made. Good enough, I guess. The other 3 come across a guy in some new jeans who's super shy, just handing them this message for Jonathan, the farm owner. They catch up with Shaggy and Scooby at the other farm, where a couple of the farmhands have already been scared off. And I'll let you guess what did it. Our big chase ensues, with the Scarecrow hitching a ride on the wagon to chase down the gang, which is growing larger and larger with each animal enclosure they pass through. Also, Velma's allergy bit goes on for far too long. Please, someone get my girl a Benadryl. Our prime bait leads the Scarecrow up onto the grain silo. Hey wait, there's 2 Scarecrows? One's old Tom, and the other one's the father of Beth. Okay, I was following along, but even I'm lost. Hey Fred, catch us up please? Okay, so there's natural gas under the farms, and each of the men dressed up like the Scarecrow to scare the other one off. But neither of them thought that the other would have had the same idea? And Fred thought that the way to Beth's heart was to send her father straight to jail? This episode's messier than Daphne's dress. A groom's going over his vows when he encounters a real Bridezilla. Shaggy's the best man for this ceremony, and he's absolutely losing it. The groom Nate comes along and tells the gang how this legend came to be, and boy, this one turned dark fast. Shaggy tries out some of his speech material on Scooby and an unforeseen eavesdropper, who doesn't exactly have constructive criticism for him. Daphne may glide around on solid ground, but this rocky terrain sends her towards a watery grave. She's hanging on for dear life, leaving Velma no choice but to... How is she doing that? Velma saves the queen and ditches the ghost, just in time for us to meet the bride-to-be, and the mother of the bride, and the mother of the groom. Both insufferable people. In-laws, am I right? As Daphne goes to grab the bride's veil, she instead finds a black veil bride. What's her name again? Carolyn? Doesn't matter, since she's trying to find the perfect weapon to put Velma inside of a coffin. Somehow our new bride doesn't notice that all hell broke loose around her, but I guess shout out to Daphne for always looking out for the girlies. Apparently Scooby is an ordained minister, but even trying to rush this one along doesn't stop the ghost from objecting. Everyone bolts, leading the ghost to chase the gang throughout the venue and... oh, maybe she is a real ghost. We get a really fun scene on the dance floor with the fog machines doing their thing, and a really dumb scene of the gang throwing the wedding gift straight through the ghost like 20 times in a row. I'm sensing a running theme here where Daphne rallies her troops together for one final stand, which starts with something illegal in most states. Daphne crops her dress like Samara weaving in Ready or Not, and has pretty good form on her tackle, capturing the ghost underneath the tent. Under the mask was Nate's mother, and Kimmy's mother was helping her. What? The 2 most insufferable people in the episode that we saw for like 2 seconds were the bad ones? I'm so shocked. Weddings are always good for something at least. Shipping material. I know what you are, queens. A young couple are having a nice date in the cemetery just watching the clouds, when one of them spots a bony desperado, though not sitting in an old Monte Carlo. Fred tricks Shag and Scoob into joining the gang on this Dia de los Muertos excursion. Okay, he didn't trick them, more like lying through omission. Shag and Scoob get lost in the festivities, asking a nice looking man for directions. They get the memo. So they join back up with the rest of the gang who are headed out to the cemetery. When they find El Bandito's resting place, it's become pretty clear that he's not, resting. But he does have 2 cool ass swords, so I get it, I'd want to show it off too. The gang split up, with Shaggy and Scooby leading him up to the hospital, where El Bandito gets diagnosed with being dead. They hit the getaway gurney right into Gustavo's gift shop for all things El Bandito, who gets into an autism off with Fred about the legendary baddie. And Fred kinda eats him up, that's my king. Unfortunately, the gang still get kicked out of town, so it's disguise time. And wow, Daphne and Velma look so good. really, they all do. They head over to the celebration at the cemetery, finding their way into El Bandito's tomb, which is right where he wants them. Before Shaggy and Scooby eat all of his offerings, El Bandito locks them in the mausoleum so he can head over to the party. Velma calculates that they have about 4 minutes of oxygen in here, so they better think of a plan quickly. Daphne speedruns her encouraging message, and the gang all work together to open the door in a really sweet moment. With fresh air and ammo to take down El Bandito, we get an old-fashioned western standoff with a modern Scooby twist. He's really after this bandana, so the gang lead him to the right spot for Fred to trap him, showing that Gustavo was behind it all to try and find El Bandito's treasure. Fred solves the case, solves the mystery of El Bandito, and is hopefully seen as one of his shining episodes in the franchise, cause he absolutely deserves it. Ooh, we're at the circus. I want cotton candy. Ooh, no, I wanna go in the funhouse. Ooh, actually, you know what? Never mind, I'm good. The gang are driving along the coast when, who the hell is this? Auntie Daphne's babysitting for the night, so what better place to show you're the fun aunt other than the amusement park? Wayne's kind of non-verbal, so he's big chillin'. Of course we know Velma's deathly afraid of clowns, so it certainly doesn't help when the owner tells her that a deranged clown named Madcap escaped and has returned to haunt the place. Not this one though, this one's Oopsie, who's really into this whole clown thing. The rest of the gang ditch Fred to go have some fun, and what's more fun than rigged carnival games? Madcap the Killer Clown! I was actually gonna say bumper cars. See? This episode has the best setting yet, I think. Slight bias because I think the carnival aesthetic in horror are always as fun, but these set pieces are done so well. Plus, the gags are limitless. Look at Shaggy and his balloon work. This is awesome. Meanwhile, Daphne's still trying to impress her little nephew, but if Killer Clown on a roller coaster ride with Auntie's special friend doesn't do it, I don't know what will. Fred throws the coaster into reverse to save them, sending them off the unfinished track and through the rest of the park, but at least they got a nice souvenir picture. One Daphne plan later, and the gang head into the funhouse, and these mirrors are really good. Look at this. Velma does the smart thing and just stays outside. To protect Wayne, of course. Yeah. She keeps yapping to him while the gang are clowning around, but still manages to capture the villain like always. She's just good at what she does. Right, Wayne? Yeah. The clown is unmasked as the clown, and Fred gives us a, oh, he speaks. Wayne already knows the ins and outs of this mystery with motives and all. Basically, he was afraid that he was going to lose his job, and tried to save the place, of course, backfiring. The real clowns here don't really know what to charge him with, so the redundant clown police take him away. Back-to-back amazing episodes. Please, please, please keep this up. An average American family are camping in the great outdoors, breathing in fresh air, touching grass, and still playing on their Game Boys. But if trees and eagles can't get the kids' attention, maybe a glowing Viking with a giant battle axe will. Nah, the brain rot's already set in. At least the gang's all here to get away from it all. A forest ranger on a power trip rolls through and gives Fred and the girls like $1,000 worth of citations, while Shag and Scoob are stuck between a bear and a Viking trio, bringing the latter back with them to camp. Alright, let's just take a minute here to breathe, settle ourselves a bit, and try not to lose our heads. Literally. With Vikings on each side of them, they run back into the forest, where we see the true danger is deforestation. Or actually, the real danger is indie folk bands, as we get the origin story of the Lumineers, and the quick breakup. The gang finds some tracks and some archaeologists, who have dug up some ancient Norse runes. Shag and Scoob sneak off to find something to, don't eat that. In pretty much a repeat of earlier, the boys run from the bear straight into the Vikings, leading them back to the gang for yet another chase. And while being chased by a bear, they always say never hide in a tree. I just never knew it was because ghost Vikings would come and chop it down. While the bait does their thing, Fred reminds them to bring the Vikings straight through the gauntlet like usual. His keen nature instinct wasn't so keen, but who would have foreseen this change in plans? They still lead them through the traps, so it's basically like the reverse of the usual method. And it still works, so I don't know why Velma's so mad. Unmasking the Vikings doesn't reveal the 3 archaeologists. That would be too easy. Instead, we have the ranger and the couple that were birdwatching because, sure, why the hell not? Daphne earns her recapping the mystery badge, and now everyone can go back to eating some beans in a can, like good campers do. A man is running through the woods, running from something. He bumbles around for a bit before we see the creature, and pause right here? Yeah, that's him. We're in a courtroom, and this district attorney points his suspicions right at Fred Jones. Fred's attorney, Miss Blake, calls a Miss Dinkley to the stand. She recounts the story of how they got here, starting with the release of one of the baddies they caught, claiming that they were set up by Fred. Shaggy and Scooby make them stop for snacks, and we get to see Gus hard at work on his Killer Clown cupcake. We love Gus. Business ain't been so good since the Toxic Mutant came around. So the gang have a new case on their hands. That's one witness down. Next up we have a Mr. Norval Rogers, sometimes goes by the street name Shaggy. Shaggy's story doesn't exactly exonerate Fred. In fact, it actually makes everything worse for him. There's only one person who could help Fred right now, and that person is a dog. Scooby adds a bit more onto our picture and everything's looking a lot clearer now. The gang found vans full of stolen goods, and the Toxic Terror hops on for a ride with them, getting dropped off at the Slammer. No, not jail. Yet. The actual Slammer. But when they pulled back up to Gus's stand, the DA unpacks the van and has Fred arrested. Well, it's a good thing Fred has a jury of his peers at least. Oh. The final person to be called up to the stand is Fred himself, and Daphne gets the last bit of evidence she needs to clear Fred's name. That's the last straw for the DA, who storms out of the courtroom, coincidentally when the Toxic Terror storms in. He picks up Daphne to try and stop the evidence from being shared, but harsh glare off Velma's dome blinds him, leading to the unmasking of District Attorney Dayton Knight, and Daphne successfully pulls off the My Cousin Vinny. It's the most wonderful time of year, Halloween. We see a young Fred and two of his pals head out trick-or-treating, when one of them takes a detour out to the Evil Dead cabin. They knock once and then enter, where a witch awaits her next meal, and I think these kitties will do just fine. They all run out and Fred brings the cops back, but when they do return, the house has completely vanished. Now in present day, Shaggy gives Scooby the rundown of their trick-or-treat route for maximum candy. Velma laments the commercialization of the holiday, while Daphne basks in that same commercialization. Fred, however, will not be partaking in anything Halloween related. He's just tagging along for some non-holiday fun. Also, Daphne dresses up as Zombie Velma, and I'm sorry, but she absolutely ate with that. As they walk down the street, Fred catches a glimpse of that house that haunted him since he was little, and that same witch is back to get him. And she really is. She's tunneling him pretty hard. So much so that Shaggy and Scooby are getting a little bit jealous here. But be careful what you wish for, boys. Neighborhood Watch comes along to make themselves feel important and shut down Halloween. Boo! Velma believes that this could be the work of the Baba Yaga, and finds that towns all across the country have had their Halloweens cancelled due to similar witch occurrences. Fred puts his fears aside and leads the gang into the house to find more clues. Which, they do. Get it? Which? Hey, why does the house have chicken legs now? Huh. It really is the Baba Yaga. This chase scene features a fun film overlay and a really catchy song, but most importantly, the rescue of Shaggy and Scooby. Shaggy and Scooby make their greatest sacrifice yet, using their hard-earned trick-or-treat candy like marbles, causing Baba Yaga to slip and fall. No life alert here though, just a pair of zombie Velmas. The witch is unmasked as Mrs. Clune, and her husband is inside the house. Basically, they would just move from town to town, getting Halloween shut down, simply because they hated the commercialization of it. And I respect it, but maybe have some fun, too? A rich family's having a beach day, somehow even managing to ruin it for everyone else with their richness. The man takes a second to look up to see a shark headed straight for his wife. And I know I say eat the rich, but I didn't know we were being so literal about it. Also, I know after however many episodes, the creature designs could be running a bit low on originality, but this is literally just a hybrid of Sharpedo and Scyther. So, pretty cool actually. Fred's out here speedrunning the all unmasking percent, and the gang just can't keep up. Fred's gotta be coked up or something. He doesn't sleep, he has all of this energy, and he's completely irrational. Daphne takes him up to her beach house for a vacation. No mysteries, no monsters, just some Fred time. When Bellington the butler tells Daphne of the walking shark, she has to keep it way on the down low to avoid Fred getting ramped up again. This case is just for the girls, Shaggy and Scooby. I mean, they pretty much know the formula already. What's the worst that could happen? Evil shark with legs is a pretty rough start, but they do get away quickly. While the rest of the gang check out the clues, Fred can't help but take a peek into the house across the way, getting a little intel of his own. Velma's handy book here gives us a name for the shark monster. Dorsal foot. You know, maybe it's scary in Latin. But something even more sinister hides in the bushes. Paparazzi. Dorsalfoot arrives for their time in the limelight, chasing the gang around the beaches, where Shaggy and Scooby ditch them after giving them some pink stilettos. Alright, so it's not a drag queen under there. Alright, mark that down. Fred pulled the Ferris Bueller gambit and got out through the window, while Daphne and Velma sleuth around for some more clues. Dorsalfoot returns and attacks Shaggy and Scooby, who pick up the girls for the chase, to one of the worst songs that I've ever heard. The gang realize that without Fred, they're just not the same. The shark knew about the false sand trap, but not the giant shark snare that Fred set up. He still got it. He knew the butler did it the entire time. He even told us so. Bellington was gonna help the paparazzi get a photo of the celebrity next door for a little extra money. And all I gotta say is, that's why he's the GOAT! A veterinary nurse isn't treating her patients with the care that they deserve, but it's also a hamster named Darren, so But when a cat named Gary gets out, she's in for a lot more than she's getting paid for, especially with the full moon out. And it's affecting more than just her, as Daphne takes it upon herself to become a mime. Honestly, I dig it. They could never make me hate you, Daphne Blake. The gang certainly don't share my same sentiment. Haters. So they just ignore her. But what's hard to ignore is Scooby's upset tummy, and he's not hungry? Take him to the vet for testing now. Oh, perfect. And this doctor is a bit scary looking. Oh, and my, what sharp teeth you have. But when Shaggy turns around, nothing's there. Scooby must really be sick. While Scooby and Shaggy get their checkup, Fred and the girls do some snooping, splitting up to cover more ground and have Mime Daphne come face to face with this half-man, half-beast. Fred throws this card at it to buy some more time, but not even the door can stop this chase. But all this running around has this wolf looking dog-tired. Nothing a little glam can't fix though. Aw, maybe she's more of a traditional queen. Scooby's still not feeling any better yet, but at least Daphne's miming comes in handy. The gang go to congratulate Lulu, but mostly lead the werewolf out and back into its cage. Getting D-Main to find Miguel the nurse, who was going to steal one of the kittens. Oh, and Scooby's perfectly healthy. He was just full for once. Shaggy, on the other hand, is a walking petri dish of diseases. Everyone loves the Renaissance Fair, right? Especially ones that take it way too seriously. I mean, look at this freaky guy on the chandelier. He's kinda cool. I think everyone needs a Renaissance era Joker. Velma's our resident Renaissancier, and is super into it. Maybe a little too into it. But so is the king of this place. The gang get new jobs in ye olden times, as Fred is the jester, Shaggy and Scooby are the food tasters, and Daphne gets given some royal chores to do. First order of business for our food tasters, make sure that no poison gets put in the stew. Ginger is fine. Jesters are not good in this. Velma gives us our history lesson in Renaissance jestering, but she kinda skipped over the part where the demon pops back up out of the painting and attacks them all. They all split up, so of course the monster follows Shaggy and Scooby, heading right into the theater. He gets his time in the spotlight, but he's just not cut out for this big city life, and heads back to his place for his Joker origin story. Finally, it's time for the big feast. The testers immediately find a battery in the food, so accurate to the era, I think. Daphne shows off her inventions, and immediately is called a witch by the king, which I think is really funny. A little too funny, perhaps. The Renaissance Riddler drops down and tries out his new stand-up routine, which really ruins the vibe. But good thing Velma's here to throw some comically creamy pies at him. Okay, so accuracy percent's looking like a 0 right now, so might be time for an eye appointment, V. The king has his guards seize the gang and take them to the dungeon, because I guess they ruined the fair even more than a demonic jester did, but they can just walk out, so what's the point? Luckily, Shaggy and Scooby keep a backup feast in the van, leading to the jester's capture, unmasking him as Harvey the investor, who was upset that the king himself didn't want to sell out. And I like the jester design, but overall it's a pretty mid episode for the series, which is still pretty good. This cold open sees a duck mascot deliver a song and dance to the wrong house. And this is equal parts absurdly goofy and genuinely kinda scary, so I think it works perfectly for the series. We pick up with the gang about to solve another mystery, but hit a few snags. Mainly Shaggy and Scooby getting their ass beat. That's the last straw. They quit. All the protests from Fred and the girls fall on deaf ears. Their minds are made up. They've even found their own replacements. Meet Morley and Bumpy. Just as they pull up to the small town, the vampire attacks Fred, who floors it through town. They ditch the fiend with a trombone solo, and head straight up to the spooky mansion that we saw from the open. It's probably nothing though. They're let into the castle by Paco the caretaker, who goes to get some treats for his guests. Velma runs into the vampire, who drops down and chases the gang. So now's about time for Morley and Bumpy's first lesson, so you might want to take some notes here. There's a lot to unpack here, but they do ditch the monster, so it's probably going to be on the test coming up. They hypothesize what could have happened, and how this money got here, but the officer returns to shut that all down. Paco pretty much lets them know that the next clue would be up in the attic, so the new gang head on up to find a room full of coffins, and someone who should really be in bed right now. The vampire chases them out onto the roof, and the gang make a clean getaway. Morley and Bumpy, however, do not. Back in the van, Fred and the girls reminisce on the good times they had together, as this is going to be their final mystery. But just as they throw in the towel, Shaggy and Scooby come back to get the gang together to take down this vampire. They find Morley and Bumpy tied up, who immediately point out the danger behind them, so I guess those notes paid off. They even get captured in Fred's trap, so this is basically just Shaggy and Scooby. They're gonna sit this one out, I think, as Scooby uses the organ to crush the monster's organs, putting the count out for the count. While the cop is just about to raise the stakes, it's probably better to just unmask Sheriff Boone under the outfit. with a little help from Paco. With people leaving town, the pair would steal from their homes and hide the treasure in the coffins. Now, Shaggy and Scooby are back for good. Mostly because Fred makes them sign a contract. But we all know they love what they do. We're at the Vandergrift dog show for this one, and living vicariously through your dog is pretty insane, but you do what you do. But backstage, there's something even more troubling than these people. Some sort of hellhound. Word spreads pretty quickly, and this show's losing dogs fast. Luckily, a new entrant comes along with the extra posh Sir Freddington III. Daphne's really against these pageant shows and how demeaning they can be. So she becomes Scooby's coach, while Freddington does what rich people do best. Waste oxygen and look like a tool. It's the hat. So with everyone else busy, Shaggy and Velma team up and head over to the food court. And if Velma's so smart, she would know that Shaggy's like a monster magnet. I mean, here comes the hellhound now. While they play around with their new dog, Fred's investigating the VIP section, meeting Estelle Brady and her dog Dobie, while Daphne and Scooby find some trouble in Miss Vandergrift's office. And also outside of it, as now it's their turn to dog sit. They lead the beast straight to the rest of the gang, leaving Shaggy and Velma no choice but to go sightseeing in the Big Apple. And it looks like they took the monster to a Mets game, which definitely counts as cruel and unusual punishment. Scooby has a performance to remember, for all the worst reasons. But at least it can't get any worse, right gang? Oh, right. At least Scooby wasn't the only one to wreck the obstacle course. Scooby says he doesn't care, but I think he's really upset that he just doesn't like these other dogs. And Daphne gets it too, so they're gonna go out and win this competition. They do a very nice dance number, but this guy immediately wants to cut in. The nerve of some people. Just as Daphne's about to be cooked and eaten at the same time, Scooby steps in and saves her, with a little help from the other dogs too. They unmask the beast as Dobie. This dog got an exosuit? I guess Estelle just really wanted to win. Scooby's awarded Best in Show, and then puts the medal on Daphne, as the gang embrace in a nice moment to cap off this episode. A couple board a train and look for a cabin that doesn't look like complete hell, and yeah, good luck. I'd rather die than sit with any of them. Hey, I didn't mean it. The gang are at the next stop doing their usual nonsense, but no pets allowed in the cabin, so Scooby has to go stay with the luggage. Shaggy makes him a nice disguise while Fred's really itching for a mystery to solve, so good thing the couple come running into the car screaming about death. And Scooby's taking this motherly role really seriously, making Shaggy wash his hands before eating. Hey, can someone hand him a paper towel? Oh, thanks buddy. This mummy was gonna chase them, but has a few hang-ups of their own to deal with first. The boys gather the rest of the gang to deal with their mummy issues, heading back into the car to find an absolute mess. But if two mysteries ain't enough, let's just throw in Japanese mythological creature Tengu, who flies after the gang katanas in hand. Eventually, the gang come across the scientist that's aboard the train, and decide that they need to solve each of these 3 mysteries one by one. 4. 4 mysteries. Taras chases the gang back to the other 3. 4. As the coolest design monster in here flies after the gang. They're not the biggest fan of them though, throwing tomatoes at them to fly to safety. The safety in knowing that there's 7 mysteries to solve? What are we doing here? Sure, add on an 8th little creepy guy. Who cares anymore? Not the conductor. Who cares more that Scooby's in drag? Look man, it's performance art. He locks the entire gang in crates for some reason, and they'll be arrested at the next stop. Velma gives us an updated head count on the creatures, and Daphne finds the clue they need to solve this mystery. She uses a bobby pin to pick the lock and release the rest of the gang, avoiding the monsters and giving them the roundabout, as they all get knocked into the coal car. At their stop, the conductor reveals that he's an undercover agent, and Fred does the world's first octuple unmasking, revealing a bunch of people that we don't know. They're all spies sent by their respective countries to steal a microchip that was hidden in the flower of Scooby's hat. And I've said before that I like Murder on the Orient Express, but Scooby-Doo's already done this one, and a lot better. The sumo wrestler is trying to enjoy a nice peaceful bath, though this janitor has some other plans. So the wrestler challenges him to a duel, not a sumo one, but a dance battle, to the catchy J-pop tune that he was listening to. And sure, this is a bunch of stereotypes thrown immediately on screen, but they're having fun. By this point, it's no secret that crab people run the world, so it's no surprise to see one here. Velma just loves Japan. She fits right in, honestly. She finds her old science fair partner Aki just in time to see our new couple drive off from their crab-infested bathhouse, which is more common than you think, just maybe not in the same crustaceous way. Shaggy and Scooby get thrown out of the restaurant into the alley, where the crab monster has been waiting for them. So Scooby and Kanyaku hit the DDR machines for their first duel, and Kanyaku might have won this battle, but Scooby's winning the war once he runs out. Daphne's fashion faux pas keep turning into the hit new style, kinda ruining everything that Velma has going here. Actually, just straight up replacing her as Japan's newest craze. This mysterious officer makes the gang feel right at home by doing absolutely nothing of use. but sure could use his help though, as Kanyaku is back for round 2, interrupting Shag and Scoob while they try and find something to eat, eventually collecting the rest of the gang and causing havoc in this Japanese town. Velma's upset that she's disgraced her friend and her country, and also that she's not the it girl here anymore. And I get it, Daphne's always the one that gets the attention. It was nice to see Velma get some notice. At least Daphne uses her fame like everyone else does, to get out of being arrested, giving the gang the opportunity to head down to the old seafood factory. While there, Shaggy and Scooby lead Kanyaku down the path to capture. It doesn't exactly go to plan, but nothing with them ever really does. Luckily, Fred uses the industrial crab claw crusher to capture the monster, unmasking Mr. Kago underneath. He was getting revenge on the kimono shop owner for buying the old seafood shop from his parents, driving away his customers to try and buy back the place. Daphne makes headlines for catching the monster, and in her shining moment, has a fashion makeover to make Velma the hot thing in Japan again. I told you, Daphne's always looking out for the girls. A mayoral candidate is opening a brand new dog park, and doing an interview for local news, who warns that a ghost has been scaring away all the politicians running for the position. Nice. Meanwhile, the gang are at a local art gallery that's funded by some Blake family money, meeting the tortured artist that no one understands. So, the average artist. The mayor candidate's here too, as a big supporter of Littlefield's art community, but can someone please take his comically large scissors away? He's withdrawing from the race, and tells Velma that she should run instead, which works for Fred, since the ghost is scaring away every prospective changemaker, and the rest of the gang are in on the plan too, getting straight to work campaigning. First order of business, Barbify the ghosts. That was Daphne's idea. With Mayor McGrath being run out of running for office, he's coerced into endorsing a younger, more hip with the kids woman to take his place. Huh, that's weird. Feel like I've seen this one before. Oh god, Velma's dressed like Nancy Pelosi. Let's just hope that this election between a fascist felon and a normal woman goes a little bit differently this time. Let's see, Velma makes some decent points, and the guy threatens violence against women. Okay, so nope, it's the exact same thing actually. The ghost of Amos Littlefield chases the gang through the town and into the cemetery, where Lieutenant Corporal Scooby has a plan to ditch them. The campaign board planned to throw a big pancake social to help numbers, which actually does help sway the voters who are easily swayed and won't take the time to do research on the candidates. So, most of them. The gang head over to City Hall to search for more clues, and to train Velma to be a little more PR friendly. The mayor returns and accepts their offer for the big public debate, which will happen after another chase by the ghost, which turns into the greatest campaign for drift cars since Tokyo Drift. Velma finally understands how to win voters over. Pandering. Also, capturing a terrifying ghost and the ghost horse with a carrot is a pretty good look too. Unmasking Violet Oberon, who wanted to stay as the only creative in Littlefield. Unfortunately, like a lot of artists, she only wanted fame and fortune, and not to express herself through art with a community of others. None of this was really about politics at all. It was all about greed. So, politics. By this point, I feel like most people know the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, who argues with the ghost of his former business partner, warning him that he'll be visited by 3 more ghosts. But maybe I never caught the part where he gets attacked and there's also a talking dog. The gang head into Marley and Scrooge to exchange their currency, as Mr. Cratchit points them the right way to Scrooge's office. The effort helps Scrooge with his little ghost problem, searching through his house to find a lady in white, the ghost of Christmas past, who sends Velma back to show how her and the gang join forces. She wakes up in a bit of a funk, but nothing that a little investigating can't help. They find some clues from Mr. Cratchit, but Velma's got some real soul searching to do. The ghost of Christmas present shows that Velma misses her symposium because the gang decorated Scrooge's house for the holidays, including a nice looking feast. That's a clue right there, a golden opportunity for them to solve the mystery, but the ghost tells them that they need her, way more than she needs them. When she comes to again, the gang are all still here, but so is the ghost. Just this time a little more angry. See Velma, these decorations weren't for nothing, they're actually quite handy in avoiding death by ghost. Velma's turning a bit bah humbug about solving mysteries, and is shown her mysterious future by the ghost of Christmas Edge, the ghost of Christmas yet to come. Even in their old age, the gang are still as spry as ever. Kinda, but they've still got it. The geriatric gang unmasked the monster as Velma! She says she wasted her life solving mysteries. She could have been a world-famous inventor. Back in her own body, she rushes to save Scrooge from the ghost's attack, springing into her best plan yet, wrapping this one up pretty quickly. The ghost is unmasked as Dr. Bugley, who was taking advantage of the hypochondriac, making him feel empathy for others, thus lining his pockets even more. The golden coin we saw would hypnotize Velma and Scrooge, but Velma cracked this case by using her theory of mystery deduction, attending the ceremony and receiving her standing ovation. Since the ghosts weren't real, Scrooge has no reason to change his miserly ways. Bugley's taken away by the constables, and Tiny Tim, who did unfortunately die. Up on an asteroid, 3 astronauts come across a weird looking rock. and the oldest of the gang falls into it and breaks a chunk of it off, politely asking his colleagues to touch it. For some reason, the mystery gang are allowed onto the space shuttle, and also get to bring the mystery machine on board. Allowed might not be the right word for it though. More so Fred illegally parked on the ship, and the astronauts are pretty chill. But once they land aboard the base, they find the place has been trashed, with no sign of anyone else around. A message written in blood, or probably red paint, states, "Beware, trust no one." Oh, I get it. It's Among Us. Shaggy and Scooby go with one of the astronauts over to the mess hall, getting distracted by the space food long enough to miss their +1 getting yoinked. Oh wait, he's actually fine. He tries to get the boys to take their helmets off to eat, but when they abide by the message left, Blondie turns more into a fiery redhead. Shaggy and Scooby run in screaming, warning them about Lieutenant Finkenbaum. I don't know guys, he looks fine. But he should continue a search alone, just in case. Captain Lewis takes his own advice and goes to hang out in the vents with Red Skull, who drops down and chases the gang around the ship, of course targeting Shaggy and Scooby, who hop in this unstable wormhole to escape, going back through past events to try and evade the fiend. Present Shaggy and Scoob were the ones to write the message on the wall, which their past selves took to heart, and they trip the wormhole entry open and do the infinity falling thing from Portal. The sleeping area is full of bunk beds, so there's a lot of room for activities in here, like building a pillow fort. The gang decide that the best course of action is to take off and leave the base, and with her electrical engineering degree, Daphne gets this puppy up and running. Ah, who am I kidding? Red Skull sabotages the ignition, and then opens the bay door to expose the gang to the super suck of space. Velma and the boys fly away aimlessly, leaving Fred no choice but to hop in the whip and save his pals. After collecting the cargo, he uses the firework propulsion to get back into the base, finding Daphne safe and sound. She blames Fred for locking her in the supply closet, and oh my god, this is Among Us. They end up clearing each other in a less dramatic way than John Carpenter's The Thing, and hatch the grand plan to stop Red Skull. Doppelganger Daphne has handfuls of gold at her fingertips, but can't trick the gang anymore, falling onto the conveyor belt with Fred, giving us a mirror match for the ages. Of course, the gang know Fred better than anyone, so Red Skull gets sent through the machine and gets tied up, revealing some guy. Apparently he was one of the crew members and found the gold, used the hologram chip to create a disguise, and scare away the rest of his team. This episode was really fun, kinda ruined by the end reveal being some guy we don't care about. A businesswoman checks into the cleanest motel, with extremely weird noises and extremely weird rules on the signs. Calling the front desk doesn't help like usual, and a creepy, dark figure enters her room. We know Fred's got a control problem, as much as he doesn't want to admit it. So to curb the issue, the gang challenge him to not be controlling for one night. One night that they'll have to spend at the Good Sun Inn due to inclement weather. We meet plenty of oddball characters with mommy issues, and the gang push the issue with Fred, who's really not trying to freak out. As you can see, it's going well. The ghost here is literally Mother, reminding Shaggy and Scooby of her rules when they start to pick out on the dessert cart. Fred's still pitching a fit, going solo on the investigation, almost entering your room that he's not allowed to. And we couldn't have that. Mother would never approve of such a thing, no no no. Daphne's obsession with feng shui this episode's really hindering Shaggy and Scooby's quality of life, in that their life is about to end if they can't get in here. Velma finally kicks into action to save them, and the gang regroup to search for some clues, being interrupted by janitor Reggie, who points them towards the creepy basement. Down there they uncover a giant letter S, but you see, we really need the Y. As in, why do I hear that ticking sound again? Mrs. Stanley chases them around the basement, and there's plenty of junk down here to use as props, and plenty of places to hide outside the motel as well. It's time for the gang's epiphany scene, leading Fred to come up with his wildest and most rule-breaking scheme yet. We get a really cool POV shot of someone entering room 455, which is Mrs. Stanley's room, where someone decides to take a hot shower. And in case you didn't clock it yet, this is basically a Scooby-Doo version of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. She rudely interrupts Scooby's shower time, and can't a dog get some privacy around here? They spray her back and capture her with a little help from Reggie, and we can finally unmask... Reggie? Wait, double unmasking of... some guy? The front desk guy, Jack, recognizes his brother Josh, who desperately tried to buy the hotel back after leaving the business behind, causing all this havoc because he always broke the rules. And I can't hate an old-fashioned Psycho parody, upper half of the list. A film editor is hard at work cutting together a Diet Charlie Chaplin type movie, arguing with his cardboard cutout, which turns physical quick, the most average editor losing their mind. But when the cutout comes to life, not so much of a tough guy now, huh? The gang are taking the studio tour with the same boring and cringe dialogue you'd expect, but Daphne wants the real deal, and Tony here delivers. It's just another lore dump like usual, but at least it feels kinda natural. Tony's bailing though, so Daphne's time to shine. And I actually think that she'd be really good as one of those tour guides. Velma takes Shaggy and Scooby to watch a silent comedy film, but don't you just hate when somebody sits right in front of you in the theater? Look how many seats there are in here. How rude. The ghost of Archie Barnes chases them into the lobby, doing his classic slip on popcorn and crash into the wall bit. Daphne and Fred meet up with a well-adjusted editor in his office, who gives them plenty of clues before joining up with the film critics. Fred saves a woman about to be crushed by a piano, but we didn't quite get the raw emotion we're looking for, so let's set up for another take. The gang find the prop supply warehouse, where the ghost awaits in silence. He manages to get ahead of Shaggy and Scooby through some really good stunt work, forcing them back on set for another quick getaway. So this lets the gang sneak in and illegally stream Archie's final film, which really is a sight to behold. So much so that he sits down to watch it too, before chasing the gang around the studio with a cart, going through various sets and productions. Safe for the moment, the gang come together to figure out who's really behind this, and more importantly, how to stop them. Nothing screams old Hollywood like a red carpet premiere, but Archie comes down to stop the show, using the mathematics of comedy to perfectly get captured in this metal cage. The ghost is no ghost at all, of course. It's the director, Lori Logan, who is upset with the studio meddling on her film, fearing that it may ruin her career. If every director did the same against their studios, we would genuinely have no films. A young magician's doing a show, but it's not exactly going to plan. Hopefully his next trick can really get the crowd hopping. I didn't exactly mean it like that. The gang are on their way to Hocus Pocus Palace, which Fred is really steezed for. Maybe a little too steezed. They enter to find Saul Twinkleshine, who's running out of acts after the giant rabbit chased them all off. Good thing the next big thing is here, the fantastic Freddie Jones. Shag and Scoob go to check out dinner service, severely lacking in both dinner and service. Hey waiter, can we at least get some bread and butter over here? I'll take that as a no. The lore of this episode involves demonic rituals and black magic, so this kinda rocks. And so does Fred's outfit. Such a slay moment for him. His first trick involves pulling a rabbit out of the closet, but he's clearly not ready to be out. It's okay buddy, take your time, we'll support you. Oh, okay, they attack the gang. Shaggy and Scooby are tired of always choosing the route the monsters take, so they switch it up, but still end up getting chased. Talk about unlucky. While they work on their act some more, Fred and the girls search Saul's office for some clues, and end up finding Johnny Cobra, who's just a Chris Angel ripoff. Fred doesn't accept street magic as legit, and Velma doesn't accept magic at all. But she quickly changes tone when Saul blows her mind by teleporting around the stage. And why is there a tiger writing notes here? Actually, this is a show about a talking dog. Who am I questioning? Well, I'm actually questioning Fred right about now, as he tries a death-defying Houdini stunt as an audition. Just as he goes to crack the lock, the devil rabbit jumps down to stop his progress. With time ticking down, the gang step in and wheel him away before he drowns. As time runs out, and Fred runs out of air, ta-da! Something tells me he didn't get the gig though, as Saul bans him from Hocus Pocus Palace. Our final audition is the wonderful Velma the Mathmagician, and her two gorgeous helpers. This triggers the final appearance of the Devil Rabbit, who can use these props just as well as the gang can. But Freddy or not, the gang always come out on top. The rabbit's unmasked as Saul Twinkleshine, but Saul's right there. So another mask magically comes off to reveal his brother, Greg. Why he needed a mask and a wig to look like his twin, who knows. They were legally unable to sell the place while members were still paying dues, so decided to scare the acts out instead. And they're gonna need a good lawyer for this one. They better call someone in the yellow pages, I don't know. We're picking up in the middle of a chase with a gang in Greece, nearly getting crushed by the enclosing ceiling. Velma happens to find the scroll that she needs to find the lore of this place, and we get a fun flashback sequence to see Princess Velmonia. She exercises something called free thought, which wasn't invented for women until like the 1900s, so her wishes to not get an arranged marriage to this dweeb go unheard. Someone who does seem eager to hear her out is this giant spider monster. While they deal with that issue, the greatest philosopher of all time, Shagrates, and his disciple Fredricos discuss what's important in life. Food. They head over to meet with the Oracle for some guidance, where they meet up with Daphne and Velmonia, who had the same idea. Under Fredricos' guidance, they're gonna solve this mystery. That's what they called it back in the day. After a giant spider chase, of course. This ancient mystery machine has some tricks, but Arachne has some of her own, using her web to capture Daphne, Fredricos, and Velmonia, throwing them off the cliff. They climb up Mount Olympus, where Arachne is shooed out by Hera and Zeus, throwing her off a cliff as well. An eye for an eye. My buddy Hammurabi has the same idea over in Babylon. After the exodus of the spider, the girls find some clues in one of the Lord's rooms, while the boys find Prince Schlemilius playing Civ 6th century BC. After his rejection, Schlemilius turns to the good old-fashioned, yeah, I wasn't into her anyways card, showing that insult culture has existed since the dawn of time. Princess Velmonia brings King Alexandros to the Oracle, and to Arachne, who pins them in her web. Daphne hits a series of ancient doohickeys, flinging this 8-legged freak at the wall, revealing Aeslop the servant underneath. doing the bidding of Prince Chelmelius. And this solves the mystery in present day as well, as Velma hits the buttons to open the door, conking the harpy in the head. Do we know who this is? No? Okay. A real estate woman is touring an old hospital, showing off how broken she wants it to be before she buys it, stepping into the vine trap that every hospital has outside. Shaggy gets invited to a party by his childhood crush, with the gang being his +3s, and a service dog. Oh, here she is now. Whoa, Shaggy, I was unfamiliar with your game. And there's some real characters here, but Shaggy's worried that he hasn't changed enough over the last 8 years. He wants to appear more changed, so he dons some goth clothing, and calling it now, Amelia's gonna have some big speech at the end that she likes Shaggy for who he is. If she doesn't say anything along those lines, I'll eat my sock. But for right now, she kinda digs it, and Shaggy drinks the gothic lean they have. This radical new Shaggy decides to get put in the morgue chamber for cadavers, which definitely is not like him. It is like him to run off back to the gang when a giant plant monster scares him out. Like every one of these episodes, the monster chases Shag and Scoob into a new area, where they have a clever ruse ready for them. This one sees Shaggy as an Edward Scissorhands of sorts, trimming this bush like you got a Manscaped sponsorship. Amelia still looks like she's in the goth Shaggy, so not looking great for my prediction. Amelia takes Shaggy away to do some sort of goth ritual. She appears to be sucking the life out of him. The gang interrupts their moment, and the plant monster doubles down on it, chasing them through the hospital halls with a vampiric rock tune. No, it's not Vampire Weekend. They crash the goth gurney into the altar where the goth lean is, and Morlack is surprised to see that Amelia gave Shaggy the black rose wristband as a symbol of their love. Wait, whoa, they got married? It's not a real ceremony, but Amelia did really get kicked out of the goth clan. Oh, it's Shaggy that made the speech about how he likes himself the way he is. About that bet. Shaggy uses the newfound appreciation of himself to challenge Morlack to a good old-fashioned goth off. Shaggy holds strong and ends up winning, mostly because the plant monster shows up and scares Morlack silly, chasing Shaggy, who passes the baton to Fred, quickly capturing the monster. Dorbin was always the most protective of the goths, and chased away anyone who threatened their goth hangout spot. A spy breaks into this building to download some top secret info, not realizing that right behind her is a hulking green figure that wants some info too. She breaks out with some toast-related weapons, but she's still in quite the jam. So she levels the playing field and is released, landing straight on the mystery machine. She sees some danger approaching and tells them to get in, hopping in the driver's seat for some reason. Look lady, I get that you're super cool and badass and everything, but that doesn't mean you get to... Okay, she kinda eats. But they're not clear yet, as this super soldier named Minus hops on the van and punches a hole clean through the roof to grab Fred. Luckily this van is basically like a Bond vehicle, just, you know, groovier. So it's actually an Austin Powers vehicle. In a classic chicken match, Fred has the annoying rampy car from GTA, but Minus has the four-wheel oppressor DLC. The van crashes and lands upside down, and Jenny is quickly kidnapped by Minus. She drops her compact hologram, but the boss on the other side tells the gang not to get involved whatsoever. So of course they immediately get involved, and head over to Istanbul to see some sort of secret facility, and then over to a super secret spy party. While the usual suspects raid the food, our actual suspect is serving, literally. Minus pushes through the party to attack the doctor for his key necklace, swinging him around, turning him into a weapon to throw at the gang. And as Minus runs out, Fred puts a tracker on them, tailing them down to the airport where Shaggy and Scooby actually have the plan this time. Unfortunately, they're 0 for 1, as Minus quickly figures out what's going on, grabbing most of the gang. But don't worry, Daphne's coming too, as Shaggy hits the emergency door and everyone's pulled out. They fight over the key in the air for a bit, but the second they touch back down on the ground, they get bagged and taken into this mountain base, where they meet the head baddie of the episode, Bubby. She shows off her evil breakfast canceling tech and walks off to safety before the timer goes off. Fred's the one in charge of this rescue mission, as he slides into Minus and hits the button to leave Bubby and Minus in a bit of a jam. Minus gets unveiled as Dillingsley, who put together this suit to steal Jenny Fex's secrets. But now with him being in custody, the gang are about to get a bunch more cases. The gang are cowering in fear inside the museum, and whatever's terrorizing them sure does know how to do it. A busted yet still groovy looking van emerges and drives right towards them. I think we've missed some key plot, so let's catch up. As they're passing through Velasco, they don't find a mystery. Instead, the mystery kinda finds them, as they stumble across a crime scene at the Milton Laboratory. They've already been to this town before, as this officer turned detective makes sure to remind both the gang and us that he did nothing and still reaped the rewards. One of the scientists point the gang towards the first clues inside, including a now empty Ogdemora, which harnessed an ancient evil deity. A samurai outfit suddenly animated grabs Fred by the ass, caught, but is quickly beheaded by Daphne, getting revenge by switching into the robotic arm and pulling her hair. The stone statue breaks out and chases them out, leading to the main animated inanimate object, the mystery machine. This evil van pulls all kinds of hijinks, starting with some minor bumps and bruises, soon taking off into the atmosphere and then trying to flatten the gang back on the road. The gang head over for a night at the museum, avoiding the guard but not the van. And picking up where we started the episode, the mystery machine nearly runs them over again, before using the grappling hook to do a little drifting. We're gonna need some wheels, so let's hop in the Daphne mobile. Fred still can't drive stick, but this is a job for Miss Blake anyways. Daphne pulls off one of the coolest moves I've ever seen, but Fred's too busy bitching to give her some cred. Don't worry, Daph, I got you. Actually, maybe in a minute. The mystery machine flies around and locks on, destroying her car. The epiphany of the episode is that none of this is real, so Fred stands head on to the van and hops on in, finding the controller, but driving right over the cliff and into the ravine. As the gang fear the worst, the mystery machine flies up and lands safely, and they all run over to hug him. They scan the area for who is controlling everything, and find Dr. Blum under a rock, who is paid to make the place seem unsafe by the security guard. With this one wrapped up, we get an odd little cliffhanger that someone's watching the gang, kind of giving some Mr. E vibes from Mystery Incorporated. And will this lead to anything? Time will only tell. Two people walk around this ice palace after delivering a frozen vulture, finding a giant caveman in his own little ice prison. But when they turn around, the man in the ice is no longer there. Instead, he's up in the raptor rafters, jumping down and attacking the pair. The gang arrive at the ice hotel for the latest redesign, and I always love Daphne's snowy outfits. Always such a sleigh. Look at these fools disregarding the rules. Haven't you ever watched A Christmas Story? Lucky for them, Lisa's here with her trusty hairdryer to save their tongues. And Miss Anya's here to serve almost as much as Daphne. They alert the gang of a thawed caveman running rampant, and of course they're on the case. Shaggy and Scooby hit the sauna to, look for clues. None here though, except for this chill guy. Also, I want to know what legend was in charge of dreadlocks in prehistoric days. But before we get into our chase, hey buddy, read the sign. Daphne's doing some spy stuff or something this episode, but I think it's just best to let her do her thing and not question her. I am questioning the caveman's aim, however, missing a couple swings of the bone before chasing the gang. They decide to not split up for once, but Shaggy and Scooby miss their exit and end up being chased anyways. Chased right into Shaggy and Scooby's bizarre show, teaching the Iceman to speak English, which carries on for far too long. They crash into the vault, so it's only a minor detour, but are caught with all the goods, so it's straight to ice jail for the gang. Daphne's feeling a bit guilty for being so selfish and spyish, but when she explains herself, I think it's actually a pretty good reason. She wants to get a family heirloom back from the vault, but completely disregarded the gang in the process, which is how they ended up here. No biggie, since they have an icy super soldier in their ranks, as Velma goes strip mining for gold. Back in the vault, Daphne upgrades her safe-cracking skill tree, and the monster's back for one last round of chasing, getting captured in an icy chandelier for the gang to unveil Miss Anya, who wanted to steal Daphne's necklace to sell it and buy out the Blake's portion of the hotel. 3 of these queens take turns one-upping each other's stories because every old person is insufferable. I wonder if they remember when the original King Kong released. I hope not, because this might cause some trauma to resurface. The gang drive through the retirement capital of the world, Florida, to go visit Shaggy's grandma. He's not overly excited about this though, feeling like he doesn't make her proud enough to have these good stories like the other queens from the beginning. I've got a horror story for you though, Fred's exposed legs. But when we meet her, she can't stop gushing about her grandson, the leader of the legendary mystery solvers. Leader? The ladies lead them to where the gorilla attack happened, but I could have swore that was at the Cincinnati Zoo. Fred, please put some pants on. The gang look to their wise leader for guidance, which does impress the ladies, but Shaggy knows that he's a fraud. They find themselves in close quarters with a cat lady with a lot of cats. Like, an illegal number of cats. Good thing Scooby's not here. Actually, I think he'd rather deal with the cats. Especially when the gorilla shows up and chases them back to the gang, who take a karaoke break to stall for some time.
One pink and one blue. Let the baby wing it. Good thinking.
Daphne, the queen that you are. Fred, I'm so serious. I'm gonna call the Geneva Convention if you don't put that away. Someone please hit the lights. Oh, thank you. The gorilla serves as a distraction from the eye candy. Eyesore. Sorry, the shorts are really driving me and Velma up the wall. Shaggy helps Scooby escape the gorilla attack, but not the hurricane going on outside. He ain't done yet though. If they don't solve this one, it's all on him. So he leads the capture effort as the bait, sending this gorilla straight into the cat lady's place. As the leader of this one, Shaggy gets the honor of unmasking his own grandmother. She really wanted to show Shaggy off to the other ladies, and was playing favorites the whole time. Shaggy got his episode to shine as the leader, proving that he could do it, but gives credit to everyone else as a team. It's very sweet. And at least Fred's not wearing his, oh my god, why? A man's driving home to his loving wife, unaware that it's their anniversary. After getting the call, he decides that the best course of action is digging through the landfill for a last-second gift. One man's trash is another man's gift, I guess. A bulldog version of the Iron Giant picks him up to teach him to appreciate his loved ones more. What I don't appreciate is the Daphne jump scare, but at least Fred seems to love it, so that's what really matters. They head over to the city dump, where the creature lurks in the distance. While there, Scooby runs into an old friend of his, whom he hasn't seen since the kennels. Also, this cop has like a zero sugar version of Patrick Warburton's voice. Scooby's buddy was adopted and became a police dog, and was also given a translator to speak. The jeweler shop owner files a report with the cop, who's about as helpful as you'd expect.
I'm about to turn the thin blue line thick and red.
I'm living for these little inserts the writers put in these episodes. I skip over a lot, but there's some gems in here. Shag and Scoob introduce their new friend to the rest of the gang, who immediately tries to stomp the junkyard with them. Fred finally says what we've all been thinking. The only reason they split up is because the monsters always go for Shaggy and Scooby. Case in point. Like the first challenge of a new drag race season, the junk monster gets a bunch of photos taken serving various poses, which gives Shaggy and Scooby just enough time to run into the gang. This absolutely freaks the police dog out, but this is just a normal Tuesday for Scooby and the gang. Shag and Scoob are the trash bait, while the rest of the gang close the entrance to the pit. The monster throws an entire bus at Daphne and Fred, causing them to fall down, nearly putting them through the manual compactor. Luckily, Velma's a magnet for mystery solving, using a giant one to capture the monster, unveiling the policeman behind it all. What a shocker. He was looking for the rainbow ring that was stolen and dropped somewhere in here. The jeweler and the owner of the dump complete the least expected enemies to lovers arc, and everyone can go home happy. A janitor at this game company is sorting through the trash for all these recycling bins, when one of the cans gets away, and is politely returned by this ghostly chef. We had the Hex Girls for the Eco-Goths, so now we got whoever this is for the Eco-Ghosts. Velma brings the rest of the gang over to San Francisco, while she has a meeting with the company for an algorithm she made with a friend. Zara shows the gang around Brainsplosion Games HQ, with a lot of these millennial perks. Boring. I want to see what Shaggy and Scooby are playing. Wow, these graphics look really good. It looks just like the Ghost Chef is here and posing a real threat to Scooby. Also, this has less to do with the episode and more with the concept. But what if you linked your VR games to a Neuralink implant, and if you died in the game, it just killed you for real? I think that perhaps that might be an interesting addition. The gangs just happens to involve an evil ghost chef, who shoots the food bazooka, the foodzuka, right at them. Fred's stupid hipster wallet chain ends up getting him in trouble, and they hit the escape slides to head downstairs. Downstairs is what we call in the business, namaste, which is just hipster for hella chill. All it takes to beat this ghost is to give them a massage, and everyone gets a happy ending. Ooh, no, wait. Let's check in with Velma, shall we? Haha. This little munchkin offers Velma an exclusive 5-year deal for $10 million, with a bunch of bonuses. But she won't be able to solve any mysteries with her friends. If it's just about money, Velma, just become a live streamer. Actually, 10 million to never be hunted down by deranged criminals isn't sounding so bad right now. As we run towards the end of this series, it just has to be said, Daphne is an absolute queen here, always bringing the gang back together from the point of seemingly no return, showing that she's emotionally and traditionally smart, while also still having her quirks. This is very much a Daphne series, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I don't thoroughly enjoy this wasted double scoop, and neither does Scooby, who teams up with his best friend to beat this boss level once and for all, unmasking Zara as the ghost chef, who wanted out of her contract so she could actually own her own thoughts. We're at Salem's annual carnival to repair their reputation from the witch trials. This young girl has a good point that it was the cause of suffering for countless innocent women.
A witch! I got a witch here!
Alright, buddy. He chases his sister into the alley, who says that she's gonna summon the real demon of Salem on him. So when she hits the Jude Bellingham celebration, a pretty real demon rises. I've got a feeling that this episode will be a lot of women defending the wrongly accused versus the hard-headed guys who continue that pattern or excuse their fellow male friends' behavior. Just a guess though. Daphne and Velma are determined to clear the name of Abatha, who seemed like wrong place at the wrong time, while Shaggy and Scooby are determined to clear some plates. But one bite of this devilishly delicious blueberry pie summons the demon of Salem, but before they can even chase them down, gets caught on the pie tent. When the gang return to the scene of the crime, a now freed demon chases them down, and we get a nice look at this monster design. It's pretty great, honestly, no notes for it. The angry mob show up and question why this demon suddenly comes back the second someone who happens to look like Abatha Bishop shows back up. And Daphne says that, yep, she's a witch alright. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Oh, right. So they have a problem with a woman, but a guy and his talking dog can eat 20 pies and no one bats an eye? Oh. Well, I guess they're progressing a bit. But if they're really witches, then they would summon the demon of Salem to come and save them. Ooh, that's just unfortunate. Before they become demon food, Velma taps into her unlimited strength to free the accused witches, leading to a few fun gags the gang uses to escape. But they should have been worried about the only thing worse than a giant flying demon attacking them. Mob mentality. Daphne pleads for her friends to go free, and gives them the key they need to go find the truth. And Daphne finally pulls out her trap card, filibustering to buy them some time, and clears her name of summoning the demon. Man, that is some real bad luck. They finally unmask the demon as Carl, who was working for his mother, Miss Baker. Those spies might have been good, but not as good as a bank robbery would be. Darkbrook is a maximum security prison, home to the world's most evil people. But it is Wednesday, so they get a little treat. The prison guard delivers the meals one by one, until he gets to prisoner 5512's cell, only finding a llama with a note. The place goes on full lockdown mode, but if you lock all the doors, you lock your own escape, as this puppeteer attacks the warden. The gang are asked to come down to the bank, but first they have to go through the least invasive TSA search process before meeting the bank's owner, Mr. Moon. The gang aren't the only ones on this case though, as Fred's old friend Rose is here as well. None of these clues make any sense, which makes perfect sense. Fred immediately goes down to Darkbrook to see if his suspicions are true. Also, every time I see Darkbrook, I read it as Darkwood, so that's great. When Fred drops his name, the guards let him straight in without any more questions. Velma does some research on this Professor who would commit some of the most baffling crimes the world has ever seen, which is actually what I would do. But the man under the mask was a man named Donald Jones, who had a young son at the time, Fred Jones. Fred turned in his own father for the crime spree, but now he's free and looking to reconnect. So, all of Fred's behaviors are explained by him having daddy issues. Actually, yeah, that tracks. Even though he cut off contact with his own father, Fred finds a stack of letters with his name and return address on them. As they drive off and recount some clues, and also some family trauma, both of them combine in a confusing way. Even family ties can't stop the inevitable chase of Shaggy and Scooby, who manage to get out-randomed by Professor who leaves without a word. Left without his word, and without a subway ticket. Rose has some pretty damning evidence that Fred's harboring a fugitive, but pictures only tell 1,000 words. I think to even begin to explain this one, you need 1,001. The last one being
Run!
Trapped on the train with a crazed madman, the gang can't wait for the next stop, and hop on the train going the wrong way in a pretty cool stunt. Fred's a bit dejected, but realizes that his father's not committing any crimes, instead sending a message. My legal analysis on the episode disagrees, but whatever, Fred. They realize the key to this is a rocket launch by Mr. Moon, and Fred catches, but also doesn't catch him tampering with the launch. When Rose arrives with police backup, it really doesn't look good for Fred when Professor escapes, and Rose brings up that she was actually the one to turn him in. Fred tried to cover up the clues he found. Fred and the gang have a choice: get arrested or hop on the shuttle going to who knows where. That decision is pretty easy. Fred's got a mystery to solve. We pick up pretty much where last episode ended, as the gang are launching into space. Fred shows off a new mystery machine mod, turning the van into one of them flying machines for a rescue mission. He tells his dad to ditch the boosters, and everyone loads in before crashing back to Earth. Everyone except for Professor who seals his fate when he seals the cockpit door. As the shuttle crashes into the sea, a single pod floats away, reassuring Fred. The cops might have given up the pursuit, but Rose gets a call that her gang found a signal from the mystery machine, who hits the pay and spray to get the heat off them. Until then, not a great look. The cops do their due diligence, and clear the gang who look nothing like the ones they're looking for. But Fred steps on it, leading to a 5-star wanted level pursuit through the city. It wouldn't be a chase if the gang didn't split up, doing so in a more unorthodox method than usual. But hey, at least most of them go after Fred and the girls this time. After some Pac-Man-like evasion moves, Shaggy and Scooby pull the Uno reverse card on the pigs, pulling them over instead. The two chases are on a collision course at the center of this bridge, and Fred pulls a pretty badass move to hit the e-brake and reconnects the two van halves. Fred makes his own escape route, driving off the bridge and turning the mystery machine into a lobster. The gang are still being tracked by a super-powered satellite, so the way out of this one sure is murky. Remember when Daphne had beef with every single sea creature? Well, that one actually comes back into play, weaponizing the creatures against the Coast Guard, creating a terrifying diversion tactic for the gang to fly back to the bank. That's where Rose and Mr. Moon are, arguing about the legality of what Rose has done so far. But when she admits that she framed Fred for everything, Mr. Moon reveals that he recorded it all, being unmasked as Fred Jones, who's really Shaggy, and Scooby. So that makes Daphne and Velma and Daphne. Rose was upset that the mystery gang were solving all the cases that she wanted to get paid for, so she was the mastermind behind every attempt to ruin the gang. Rose grabs the recording device and plants an actual bomb, dropping it to the ground below. Out of nowhere, Professor shows up in the mystery machine with the device in hand. Or in puppet. He decides it's time to stop running and turn himself in, but Fred has other plans for him, using Daphne's Fred puppet to express his gratitude and forgiveness towards his father. Fred locks him in the mystery machine and sends him off into the night, leaving the bank and a nice present behind for the cops. Later, Fred exits his mystery house and goes into the mystery garage, only to find the mystery machine returned, and one final note from his father. I don't know if this is hyperbolic or anything, but I actually think this might be the best episode in the entire franchise. It had genuine stakes, a great mystery, perfect callbacks to earlier episodes of the series, and a touching and heartwarming ending. This is the perfect series finale episode. I know there's one more, but narrative-wise, this is the end. And boy, did they go out with a bang. Our final episode of the series is split into 2 segments, because that always works so well in Scooby-Doo shows. Shaggy brings the gang to his favorite place in the world, Pizza Opossums. He sees the one that got away, the prize that he never got as a kid, Pizza Pup. That kinda looks like... This little girl interrupts his moment when she tells them that animatronics are running wild and scaring kids. Oh, so it actually is Five Nights at Freddy's. Shaggy and Scooby want nothing to do with solving this animatronic mystery, but when the owner offers to pay him with Pizza Pup, Shaggy's in. I guess by proxy, so is Scooby. Especially when there's pizza to be had. Sorry guys, no tickets, no pizza. Luckily there's a convenient trail of tickets leading right to Pizza Opossum, who chases them through the Pizzaplex. Velma has an intense phobia of video games, or more accurately, an intense trauma. Fred and the girls snoop around for clues, but instantly get thrown out of Pop's room, and that's what you get for trying to sequence break in the speedrun. The gang find the game that the girl was playing, and Daphne feeds Velma's unhealthy addiction that she's been cleaned up for years now. So that's... cool. Just before Pizza Opossum crashes the party, the gang use the Poppy Playtime sticky hands to wrap them up, but Velma's a little... preoccupied. Hey, at least she beat the game and won the 10,000 ticket prize. In one of the only times I can remember the gang doing this, Shaggy just straight up knocks the possum out with a mallet. Well, good thing the culprit's not inside. She's controlling the animatronic from the booth. Lydia also wanted to win Pizza Pup, so she learned how to control the animatronic and scare away everyone else so she had free reign of all the games. And at that point, just crack open the case and take the roll. If you're gonna cheat, at least cheat quicker. Since they solved the mystery, Grandpa Gary holds up his end of the bargain, giving Shaggy the Pizza Pup plush. But in a last-second epiphany, he realizes that he's had his dream dog the whole time. And aw, it's really sweet. Oh, just kidding, they ruined the moment at the end. Cool. The gang arrived for dinner at this restaurant. Seems a little fishy. Also, if I die, I want to look exactly like this. This nautical restaurant reminds Fred that Captain Color is out there somewhere, slowly backing away and diving into water. When the waiter comes to take their order, Fred immediately chases them down and pins them to the wall for some reason. Fred, this is clearly not Captain Cutler. This guy has a mustache and works for like 86 cents an hour. Oh wait, it actually was Captain Cutler. Man, that disguise was really good. Cutler explains that he's changed his ways, and used all of his money to open this place up, but business isn't going swimmingly, so he's got a mystery for Fred. Oft-injured Willie tells a tale of legendary pirate Halfbeard, who met an untimely watery end, and whose ghost scares away anyone looking for his treasure. And Daphne knows all about the pirate who took down Halfbeard, Ginger Fox, who is an old Blake family member, because of course she is. While Cutler takes Fred and the girls down to the dock, Shaggy and Scooby partake in the finest seafood they have here. Looking a little light on the meat though, so the ghost of Halfbeard looks to harvest 2 fresh ones. They do manage to get away and use the placemat maps to enter the tunnel. Out on the dock, Cutler and the gang find the only chill Karen to ever exist, who's snorkeling and stealing all of Cutler's lobsters. Cutler tries to escape, but not from Fred, as Halfbeard's ghost is quickly approaching with that sword. They paddle out into this skull-shaped island, where it seems that Shag and Scoob have followed their maps to. Hopefully it goes better for them than these guys. When they reach the escape rope, it takes them straight back to the rest of the gang. Surprisingly, Cutler's dive suit is actually useful, as he comes up from a quick salvage with the clue. They use the map's coordinates to find where the treasure should be, and Cutler jumps in to retrieve it. He does return, but he brought a friend who likes playing pirate a little too much. Just as Halfbeard's about to slice these scallywags, Daphne uses her ancestor sword to stop him, and the pair have a sword fight for the ages. May thy blade chip and shatter, and thy head get conked by a diver's mask. Fred thanks Captain Cutler for helping, and the two finally make amends. Unmasking the ghost of Halfbeard reveals Karen, so she's actually just the averagely chill Karen. She was gonna make away with half of Halfbeard's booty. Wait, half? Captain Cutler flies off, leaving us with one of the greatest plans in the series, using the gang's prowess to find the treasure, and all of the deals he made to get there. You know what? I respect it. Game is game. And just like that, every episode of Be Cool Scooby-Doo is done. I can't lie, I went in ready to completely trash this series, but as it went along it got much, much better. It's certainly not the greatest Scooby series, but there's some really high highs and not many ultra lows, and it's just thoroughly fun throughout. Speaking of highs and lows, what ended up being the best episode to me? Well, unfortunately we do have to start with the worst one, which for me was Be Cold Scooby-Doo, followed by Trading Chases, Party Like It's 1899, Protein Titans 2, Night of the Upsetting Shorts, Gremlin on a Plane, Eating Crow, Game of Chicken, Where There's a Will, There's a Wraith, Sorcerer Snack Scare, Junkyard Dogs, Kitchen Frightmare, Poodle Justice, Naughty or Ice, Worston Show, Fright of Hand, Scroogey-Doo, Be Quiet Scooby-Doo, Mysteries on the Disorient Express, Giant Problems, American Goth, World of Witchcraft, Pizza Opossums, All Paws on Deck, I Scooby-Dooby-Doo, How to Train Your Coward, There Wolf, The Curse of Halfbeard's Booty, Vote Velma, Area 51 Adjacent, The Curse of Kaniaku, Scary Christmas, Screamadonna, Saga of the Swamp Beast, Grease is the Word, Me, Myself, and AI, The Norse Case Scenario, Silver Scream, Do Not Disturb, Professor Huh? Part 1, Ren Scare, Ghost in the Mystery Machine, In Space, Mystery 101, Some Fred Time, If You Can't Scooby-Doo the Time, Don't Scooby-Doo the Crime, Halloween, Omelets Are Forever, Grand Scam, The People vs. Fred Jones, Into the Mouth of Madcap, El Bandito, and my #1 episode of Be Cool Scooby-Doo, Professor Huh? Part 6 3/4. Thank you very much for watching this series analysis as always. These are so much fun to make. If you want to see the next one before it drops, head on over to the Patreon and join the fun community we got going on over there. All the generous people will be shown on screen right now, and thank you all so much. Next up, I'm taking a look at Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, so we'll see if I can recognize any more of these guests than I could with the new Scooby-Doo movies. My guess will be no, but before that, bye!